Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.
2017 eba besi 2019 na nka enoma dadi pefe se enoma etimi ekoyi pad mai wo hwe bibi te se bia na se ne enoma bo si kosra ade a nanka bia number se wo hamu chichemu edunum ne akiri pon 9 15.4% na aban timi hwe ya ma ne ba foma ebesi single digit na ye maintain is a single digit inflation even as at last year nanka prekopa isi 2022 ma na inflation apeja sisi ene nam almost around 30%. Na chere wo say bibi na apusu nunum no ama pampan no esi ebotesa. O hwe sane na oman no esi boa ema emutre na enyini average the best 7% every year. COVID by na atwate ekobese 0.4%. By no kra na ye free COVID mu 2021 na ye ba no. And also timi epeja kama Drew base around 5.6% for overall and then 6% plus for non-oil. Not just said no cranny, even with COVID crano and a tree and semono na a normal air court torting kakra a bit to me abua or manfo until say Russia Ukraine war and so by no crowd by yachino. Say enya nsunsuanso bebre ewo mansi kasam ne ho ntoto yeso ama enoma abu ni chikakra but enoma bebre nso wo ho a etimi akoyie ama sesi a no fa nsusu dua bebre ade tototo no ma ho a enoma timi ko kama wo some areas bibi te se bia yemfa ne se sika a omo ye omo ankasa adwuma anasa omoye adwuma epe se bosia ede asho omonyuma ma o hwe se na data ne sitie na private sector credit despite all the challenges and the difficulties aban no enya nyina no private sector credit as at end of June 2022 etimi peja e pa kosoro o hamu gichemu aduasa mensa na yakiri report so 33.7% what it to 2021 the one na yebese 6.8%. Na afei so o hwe sania enoma esi peja na the real private sector credit no so kra assign peja na emfa hone the tight credit conditions across industry no. There was huge expansion in the industry, the banking industry. So show my best 20 out of 23 banks are extending new credit to businesses, and our total advances about 22 no almost 24 billion cedis, about 54% growth compared to 15.9 billion, about 1.1% growth recorded last year. And despite the difficulties yenya as on my efa de ekokọ eboboba wo wiase nya enam entotoye bia aban atoto ane fapin bia ya hyehye no atimi ama enoma atimi tumpon na emre bia no opese wo hu the health and the financial soundness of an economy. They said the banking sector make ho asem no so hwe ni yenti once asika ho na banks no timi ma credit na creditor banks ma available to clients and customers ecosro and what you can no banks and the total assets are by June on year basis it grew by 22.8%, which is about 200 billion cedis as at end of June 2022. What the total 2021 they are about 17.2%. Let's just say banks total assets and also etimi ekona nimpa ama and also etimi abua ama enoma etimi ehwe ohwe banks and also call liquid assets to short-term liabilities and also improve by about 30.2% compared to 27.5% in the previous year. A lot of these are stars, but all of these indications say despite the difficulties despite the difficulties any global economic shocks are by so nyina no enam enhyehyɛ pa aban atoto ewo sikasɛm afano ama enoma bebre etimi ekɔ yie pa and banks profit and so profit before tax and so Ushima and also it grew by 4.4 billion cedis and represented 21% as of June. Now they compare the previous ones. Until all of these are indications to say a normal AC echo. Now fin sukrano Osha a normal bo senia Asia Peja ewo a drama in swa. Now o drill it down say oh yeah, month to month analysis. Obetima who said gradually there has been some steady improvement because Osha say after April 2022 the month-on-month inflation increased by 5.1%. About May, a sote by 4.1%. Odeba June, a swate about 3.0%. That is the month-to-month inflation. There's some consistent decline in the month-to-month inflation. After so offer food inflation and kasaswa. April now 5.8%, the month-to-month. By May, a sote by 4.0%. By June, a slight decline by 2.3%. Offer non-food inflation by April it was 4.6%. By May about 4.1% and further down to 3.6% by June. Dear the chair when say a normal boy apeja kosro sharply in January 2022. But the feel April, May, ebabesi June ya muyano. Ofa no bosomi bia de na to bosomi edisone de bosomi bia de to bosomi edisone de either the overall for food or for non-food inflation you see consistent decline. Let's just say a chiro bibi say a normal buy de agu form and into to ya buy to no asha se so abapa bi a lot of hope and confidence. So despite the difficulties na ye komuni ade adin nyina no a normal asha se to talk to ye. Aya na mpempi metese nipa ni bi kase ye kase global crisis COVID-19 ene ne nkrone ba na ama a normal bo ekosro na adentina ama ya twa ho ahia bi te se Togo ana se what they say Ivory Coast ene ne nkrone ba na omo de omo inflation our form in the single digits. Now the end the number about 29 almost 30%. Nana ya onchemu e wo mu nyina ne say aban bia ewo the different fundamental underlying policy frameworks, especially when it comes to exchange rates. Now depending on sa policy framework na ewo sa oman ni mu no ebema betimi amasesa shocks ya ye kan wase ba be affected inflation and as affected inflation. So we hwe wiase mu hasesi ya oman bia ne exchange rate regime ene Ghana de eye peno sa oman bia experience inflation. Until now, America in over 600% hikes in inflation. UK over 500% hike in inflation. Because omunyina I practice exchange rate regime. I can say floating exchange rate regime similar to that of Ghana. But what far on my bit to say Togo, Ivory Coast, and Conibana, omo exchange rate no a fixed for certain periods. Until I'm found from my elbow we are saying, omo say exchange rate in your fixed no say your pim. Say any 2% na ena ebeye. Na ye nyina so ye hu say the exchange rates between any two economies no factor and as determined by the inflation differential between the two economies. Next say exchange rate no any inflation no ewo twakabi. Until the moment awo might be exchange rate regime no ye faced no. Some of these shocks and the price increases may not affect them the way I be affected. Amaya aka almost exchange rate is flexible. Too far it is said Togo a first exchange rate or more inflation now is about around 8% in single digit. Ivory Coast or more first exchange rate or more inflation is around 3.5%. But over Nigeria, our floating exchange rate or more inflation up over 17%. Gambia floating about 11%, Sierra Leone floating about 22%, Ghana floating and Vietnam 29 getting to 30%. And that is the explanation. Or might be or practice floating exchange rate regime and has seen more than 100 or 200% increase in inflation. So that is how is it. Now I'll share the month-on-month figures here. I just say Ghana crowd na a page consistently for the past 3 months. Or drill it down the data now, you're seeing some significant improvement. And underlined by policies are buying Ediagugu Nakwamu. Meaning say we are not there yet, but significantly, and to tuya ya to ane normal yashishano nema some of these positive signals, especially in the banking sector and key economic indicators now. Asha say experience a rebound and get it to the proper footing. It is absolutely important, say as a minor, you bet me enya some of these things right. Send your beya, oh ye bibia, ubetman was over fapping papa bia, ujinaswa or day. For instance, share a few bra a buy announce so yes, I per se call IMF now. The decision to go to the IMF no, it's more or less part of the measures are assessor itimi ayena yade anko ya ho sane beya de yehu ne no kra no and get worse to a point Rebecca say oh Ghana say kra de sika ni ho enti ai de beto fan wo kra power yan generators enti yen nasumu ana say sika ni ho enti adwumayefo akatua o ye teacher ni na wo ye adwuma bosome edu ana say du no ma yentu abese bosome miensa sane ya yehu ya under finance minister said tepe teacher for year juma so many years as you tell back pay no you tell bosome me sape and as you beka se bia you drew point bia sika ni ho and the teacher and nursing training allowance ye ntwam and as you beka se sika ni ho enti adwumayefo akatua kra ye ntua na asa ye nte so you don't want to get to that point enti sa one person obe get to that point na sa wo hwe kwan ya befa so a obetoto enoma na obe employ policy measures are ebetimi amoa so how na ohun ni sesia ano na mfa nkonko duru ba bi asabe aduane die kura na ho eba ba ya woden to the point say ebeka say the are nam na manasa akadompe nko you don't want to get there enti nam kakra na ewodompe no no ese wo hwe kwane eva so betima ye ntoto ye na bia beka ho the moment ya announce so yes ye pese ye call IMF no some of the signals, because apart from the balance of payment issues and address any debt sustainability matters and a person use the IMF vehicle address no ade ba ko a ma yetimi call IMF de oboni be kan say catalytic effect ne say the moment I will take this decision no eboa Emma, one ma bibi wo mo nsem ne friendly sovereigns ne investors aka no so hu ni say no there's some level of assurance say this country and Ankoma slip out of debt sustainability part. The IMF program is going to help them get onto sustainability and improve their balance of payment issues. Then the investors begin to have a renewed confidence in the economy, even though they may have had confidence, because of pulling out of emerging economies about $50 billion. It became a trend, and then there's that kind of effect going on. Nti I saw munya ahotoso wo ma mu say di nti kwa no mo investment when you can say omo pull it out now rollover risk na affect. The moment I yes our announcement no who say prekope na no aban bonds an ya issue ana e was say a mature 2027 no yields na ya bonds no so no a drop here from 23% to 18.2%. Let us see who are na ya was a aban tua in 2027 no na a year best at 23%, so ate aba from aba be drew 18.3%. Afi wo hwe your August 2032 bond no so a eno so no yes ana e wo so ana ye 18.9%, say a drop it aba 16%.
Peace FM 104.3 good to me take